Now that the garland is assembled, let's go ahead and get it hung up. You want to make sure you save your 5-inch minis until after this step. I do have some on this garland, so just ignore that. Make sure you're saving those minis until you've hung your garland and gotten everything placed where you want it to be. First, I'm going to show you how to hang it on a wall, and then I will show you how to put it up on a chiara board. So if you have smooth walls with just paint, I use 3M command hooks. We have no affiliation with 3M. I just really like using these. They work really well for us. Off-brand ones I have found can peel paint. They don't stick as well. It's one of the reasons we don't include them in kits, because they're just not as good a quality. We've had some of ours hanging up for up to 3 years in our shop because I'm here all the time building, and I've even pulled them down after a year, 2 years, and I've not had any residue or anything left behind or any damage to my wall. So this is the type that I would recommend for hanging inside. Just make sure you give yourself 15 minutes before you start hanging stuff on it, because you do want that bond to be created. A few times I have hung them and tried to hang things right away and they pop off the wall, so make sure to give it a little bit of time. For this step, you can either use the fishing line, you can use ribbon, you can also use these 260 twister balloons. I'm going to show you both ways, and then you can just decide what works best for you. I'm using blue ribbon today just so you can see what I'm doing. I would recommend fishing line if I was going to use this technique. So I'm just taking this, looping it around the first set of balloons, first or second set of balloons, kind of in this area right here, like so. And then I'm just going to tie this off in a knot. Super, super simple. Hide that in here. Basically just like that. And just popping it on. So this is quite low, obviously, so now I can just take this, shorten it up to where I want it, and then tie it off. So again, this is really nice because if your command hooks aren't exactly where you want them, then you can sort of shift and adjust that. For the second half of the garland, I'm going to use a 260 twister. I'm just going to get in close so you can kind of see what we're doing here, and then we will attach the garland to it. So when you're using these 3M hooks, you can take a 260 twister and just slide it through this little spot right here, create a little loop, and then you can wrap this around the balloon. That's one way of anchoring it to the wall. I just wanted you to see this up close. You can also do this with fishing line or ribbon as well. You can slip it through there. It keeps it from kind of popping off, because if this moves or if it like slides up, it keeps the garland steady in place. So now that you have this attached on here, you're just going to take this and you're going to slip it over one of your 11-inch balloons. The beauty of that is, if you don't like the way it's hanging once you stick around, is you can just pull that off and you can move it down, move it up, like so. The advantage of using the fishing line or the ribbon is that you can make adjustments after the fact. The nice thing about using the 260s is it's a little bit easier just to like pop that on there, and then you can hide the command hooks. A lot of times people don't want to see these, and so you can put the balloons directly in front of them, and then you're not going to see them at all. I generally will use the fishing line or the ribbon for the upper portion, and then I will use a 260 for the lower portion. But sometimes it just depends on if you have placed them exactly where you want them and everything kind of works out. So sometimes it just depends, and you have to sort of decide in the moment which one's going to work the best. If you have done a cloud garland or a shorter garland, using the 260s and covering them up is a little bit easier than when they're longer. So now that your main balloon garland is hung, everything is placed, you've pulled your 16s towards the front, you've rearranged the bottom, you have everything tied down, you're going to move on to your next step, which is going to be adding your minis, as well as your mylar or any little extras that you have with your garland kit. So make sure you check out those videos just to walk you through that final step. So let's cover quick how to hang your garland from a chiara board or kind of a backdrop, one of these metal frame backdrops that you might have fabric put on. A really easy hack at home, if you don't have the special clamps that come with them, is to grab these 2-inch binder clips from an office supply store. They're the large ones. You want to make sure they're nice and big because you want them to clip on really easily. The smaller sizes don't work as well. Another thing that you can use are these clamps. You can get these at like a Home Depot or just a hardware store. They don't have to be the plastic ones. You can grab the metal ones. They're super cheap. They'll have like little rubber grips on the handles, and they don't have to be this big. This one's kind of big, but I just have it in my shop. So you just clamp that on, and then I'll show you how we attach things. Essentially, the balloons are going to cover these up, so you don't have to worry about these being seen once everything is hung. With the binder clips, I like to use the 260 twister balloons, the long skinny ones. So if you've got extras for hanging, this is great for this step. You can also use ribbon. You can just clamp this on and tie the garland right to it with ribbon, which is what we're going to do with the other type of a clamp. But I just want to show you, just making a loop, tying it on like that, just so we can slip the balloons right through here very easily. And then I'm just going to place this at the approximate spot that I think that I'm going to anchor my balloon garland. Beauty of that is I can always move it. So I'm just going to go ahead and clip this on here. This little arm can be up or down. It'll probably adjust. You won't see it anyways because it'll be behind the balloons. I'm going to start a little bit farther to the right. So again, similar to how we did on the wall, I just slipped an 11-inch balloon through that little 260 twister, like so. Just kind of drape it like that for now, and then you're going to grab a piece of ribbon. I'm a little low on ceiling space, so I did put another binder clip kind of up here to hold these in place. I always think at least 3 different anchor spots is good, and I might even do more at the bottom. So I'm just going to use blue ribbon for this so you can kind of see it. I'm going to just slip the ribbon so it's inside the clamp, like right here. I don't try to tie it out here. I want to tie it in here because then it's more secure. And I'm literally just going to take this and wrap it into the main vein of the ribbon and just tie it in a shoelace knot, just like so. Super simple. Again, this clip is a little big for what I would normally use, so just get ones that are a little bit smaller. They're easier to hide if they're smaller for that style of clip specifically. Just tying that in a regular box knot, and then I'll just clip this extra ribbon off, and that is set. And because I'm kind of out of ceiling space in this room, I don't have the balloons going all the way up across the top of the arch. Just kind of bear that in mind. If you're outside or you have larger ceilings, you'll kind of want the balloons to go over the top, or really however you kind of feel like they look good aesthetically, just so you're kind of aware.